You know, if you're doing super nice fences and decks and lattice work and whatever, you gotta kind of up your game and use the right screws. Hey guys, Brad here, and today we're gonna be taking a look at some trim head screws. I've been using these for years and years, and I just can't say enough good things about this brand and this type of screw. I've been using them this year a lot for exterior work, cedar, all that kind of stuff, decking. They're just a really, really good screw. So let's take a look at them. Before we get into it though, make sure you subscribe, hit that notify bell, and give me a thumbs up if you like the video, because it really does help out our channel. And we're trying to give you the best content that, you know, that YouTube can provide. So let's take a look. These are GRK fine trim or headless screws is what we've always kind of referred to them as. And we've got 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inch, and 2.5. I like to keep a whole sort of arsenal of different lengths just because you never know what you're going to be attaching. These have just really, really come in handy on our latest project. We're doing a lot of cedar work. We're doing a lot of 1x2 privacy screen work. A lot of areas have some exposed screws. So instead of just using nails or the Senco screws, which is what I use to put my fences up, I like to use these because with cedar, a lot of the times what will happen is the wood will sort of swell over the screw head. And because, I'll just show you a screw, the heads are super small. All right, really, really tiny. To put that into perspective, this is a 3-inch, just your standard framing screw. Never use these outside, guys, but just to give you an idea of the head size, okay? This is sort of a standard head size that you would see on kind of your average screw. Yeah, they take a little bit longer to put in. Like, I really do like the Senco gun, how you can just automatically shoot those screws in because they're on a nice strip. We'll leave a little link down below for that. But these screws, you know, if you're doing super nice fences and decks and lattice work and whatever, you gotta kind of up your game and use the right screws. Now, these screws are great because they don't split the wood. And if you're using just sort of a regular screw, a lot of the times they'll split the wood, especially if you're screwing at the end, like that last inch of a board. And with 1x2s, that's sort of what we're doing on this project. And these have like this chisel point on the front, which really, really helps cut into that wood. And then they have a W, what they call a W. It's kind of hard to see on film, but up in these threads here, there's a bit of a notch, and that really, really helps without, you know, not splitting the wood. The second thing they have is a reverse thread right here. Now this really helps from keeping the wood from mushrooming around the actual head when you sink it. So a couple key factors to these screws that are just a little bit different, and which also makes them a little bit more expensive, but really gives you a really nice product. And you know, like I said, these heads are so small, sometimes the wood will swell up right over them. You don't need to fill. This is if you're outside, so you won't need to fill. You don't really need to worry about covering them up because the wood will just sort of swell up over them. I don't use these for fencing unless, I guess, if we're doing some really fancy cedar fences and we're using sort of the small lumber and you have visible screws, then I might go to these. But you have to remember too, because they have a smaller head, they don't necessarily have that holding power that you really, really want to have. So you really have to judge what you're doing. These are not structural, okay? These are just basically for trim, and you just use them accordingly. Now, they are using a T10 bit. A lot of these kits will come with the bit. So even these little kits here, these hold 100 in them. And sometimes they'll give you, yeah, see, they gave us a bit right here. And this is just a T10. A lot of the times I don't use these little guys. I tend to use the larger bits just because I don't like the size. But this is the bit I usually use. The larger boxes, they do give you this bit. And one thing to note, when you are screwing these in, they suggest that you use a drill and not an impact. The impact can really damage the star head, okay, the T10 bit. And this is sort of what they look like right here. Okay, that's the shape. And I don't know if you can see the actual head there. But they are very, very easy to strip out. Not only that, I have found over the years that these bits are very easy to strip. So you do want to take a little bit of care and caution when you're using them. So I recommend using a drill. A lot of the times in my videos, you might see me, if I'm doing this, you might see me using an impact. The nice thing too about these screws is that the impact doesn't even engage. So half the time, you're more than half the time, 90% of the time, when I'm using my impact, it doesn't even engage. So I'm not getting that ratcheting motion that an impact delivers. And so I don't have to worry about wrecking these heads. Now, if you're doing decks and things like that, because you can use these with the camo system, I don't recommend using an impact. I would go to a drill, just because, you know, if you strip one of these out, it's really hard to get out. There, you know, you can, you know, put your drill around the actual bit. Here's a little tip if you guys are ever wondering how to get a screw out. You can close your chuck around this, and then you can reverse the screw out. That's just a little tip, little trick, if you've screwed up your head. Other than that, you know, let's take a look, see how they go on the board. They are just screws, so it's not going to be anything fancy. But we'll use a drill here. Whoops. And we'll put in this 2.5 inch. As you can see, really nice and small. I really, really like them. Now we'll use the 12 volt impact, and we'll use another same screw. See, didn't even engage the impact. It's just because the chisel point on this really, really helps with, there's a little bit of impact right there because I went faster. The chisel point really, really helps with clearing that wood out of the way, so you get a really, really nice hole. Your wood doesn't split, and it's just an awesome design. I've really, really switched over to almost GRKs for everything I do. Especially if I'm using screws for attaching, you know, my framework. I use GRKs all the time. I'm never using just those, you know, brown coated screws or whatever. They're really, really not meant for that. You know, they're so skinny, they snap so fast. The GRK structural screws, I can't say enough, and we'll make another video about that. But as far as the trim head goes, can't say enough good things, guys. Pretty awesome. I'd love to hear what you think about the GRK. They have different different uses here. This one's the RT composite, and then we've got the fine trim. They're saying the RT composite, that's more for your composite boards, for PVC, stuff like that. And then this is more for just your everyday type of trim. So you can use them on treated lumber. You can use them on cedar lumber. You can pretty much use them on anything, and you're not going to have that chemical reaction that you do have to be aware of if you're using different types of screws for different types of boards, because with treated lumber, a lot of the times that can react to a different screw or a nail. So you always just got to be aware of what you're putting in your board, and will it rust out or just corrode out. So there we go, guys. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notify bell, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Make sure you leave some comments down below. Till next time, keep on crushing it. We'll catch you later.